One of the things that we discuss quite a bit on this channel is how one of the main features of this new administration is the cruelty for cruelty's sake, where they are trying to be the biggest assholes that they could possibly be in nearly every single thing that they do. And I'm not sure if it's Donald Trump trying to get his rocks off by doing these shows of force, or if they are just trying to further dehumanize whole groups of people. But I really feel like we've made it to a point now where this administration will come out and issue a new policy or a new directive that really goes above and beyond anything we've seen before. And then comes the next thing, where we are constantly surprised over and over and over again by the sheer inhumanity coming out of this administration. And I feel that's exactly where we are at yet again today with this so-called Alligator Alcatraz, where you've got the Trump administration literally building cages under the sun for migrants in the middle of the Florida Everglades. And this comes after years upon years of Donald Trump dehumanizing this whole immigrant population, and now he is literally locking them in cages in the blistering sun. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this Alligator Alcatraz is all about. And then I want to just show you how disgusting it is to watch all of these MAGA freaks celebrating the cruelty. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate.
President Donald Trump was in good spirits after touring what's been branded as Alligator Alcatraz, the new $450 million ICE detention facility built on a seldom-used airstrip in the heart of the Everglades.
Very soon, this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation.
Officials say the facility is ready to house up to 3,000 immigrant detainees with capacity for further expansions if needed. The detention center includes an air-conditioned dining hall and barracks, a point DHS Secretary Kristi Noem emphasized.
A higher standard than is required at state levels, at local Department of Corrections facilities, sheriff's offices. This is a state-of-the-art facility.
It only took 8 days to construct the facility, which will be staffed by a crew of 1,000, including 400 security guards.
Yeah, this is not a joke, people. This is not a drill. Kristi Noem just said that this was a state-of-the-art facility that they erected in 8 days. They are literally building tent cities in the middle of the Everglades and trying to say that it is a state-of-the-art facility. And these people are salivating at the idea that an immigrant might get torn to shreds by the alligators that live outside their walls. That is what this administration is currently doing. And I just want to put a finer point on just how crazy this is. Ron DeSantis used emergency powers to pretty much take away the land from Miami-Dade County, I believe it was. Anyway, he used emergency powers to erect this migrant detention center. It's costing the taxpayers $450 million. And guess where they're taking it from? They're taking it from FEMA. They're saying that, oh, well, Biden was able to use the funds to house migrants in New York in these luxury hotels. We're just going to take FEMA money and build a new detention center right in the middle of the goddamn Everglades. It is absolutely disgusting. It is un-American. It is immoral. It is wrong. We should not be doing this type of shit in the United States. And I want to go ahead and thank Decoding Fox News for putting this little clip together. Here is Fox News. Just, again, salivating at the idea that these migrants are going to be surrounded by wildlife, surrounded by alligators, surrounded by snakes, things that could rip them to shreds. Listen how giddy they are about this idea.
And trust me, these vicious migrant criminals will be begging to go to El Salvador when the alternative is a place called Alligator Alcatraz. DHS has now approved plans for a brand new migrant detention facility near the Everglades with the aforementioned name. Florida's AG warning there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Only the alligators and pythons are waiting.
I support putting American prisoners in a swamp surrounded by gators. You keep hearing about all these escape attempts. I mean, what's more of a deterrent than getting eaten by an alligator?
The facility will be on an old airstrip that is surrounded by wetlands filled with alligators and pythons. The detention center will be composed of large tents and trailers that can house up to 1,000 migrants.
This is an area down in Florida, and through emergency powers, they have taken over this remote airfield area in the Everglades where all the alligators live. There are some Democrats down there that have been critical of this. They don't like it. They think it's cruel to put them in the middle of nowhere, basically.
I think this is the perfect location for criminal migrants. We've had a lot of Democrats that want to break into the facilities. I don't think you want to break into this facility. It's surrounded by alligators. Steve is going to do a tour with Governor DeSantis of that facility.
He's going to tour and make sure there are actually pythons there.
Right.
And it's going to
Doesn't it remind you of like an old childhood story with the castle with the moat around it and they put alligators in it?
Except this is actually true.
So funny, guys. Doesn't it remind you of the storybooks where you got the castle and you got the moat? You got the alligators in the moat? Keeps everybody safe? This is not a fucking joke, people. You're talking about people's lives here. And they continue to say that this is going to be a whole bunch of criminal migrants when we just know that that is not the case. We're going to dig into that a little bit later. But this is not a joke. You're talking about putting people in cages in the middle of the Florida Everglades, okay? Not only do they have hurricanes to worry about, but what about the blistering sun? We already know that deaths in ICE custody this year are already skyrocketing. Do we really think that a facility like this is going to help matters at all? I mean, it is absolutely despicable that we are doing this in the United States. And to watch these Fox assholes, all of these MAGA lunatics cheering this stuff on, I'm just at a loss for words. Where is your guys' humanity? This is not how we're supposed to treat human beings. Even if they did murder somebody, we don't treat them like they're dogs, okay? That is not what we're supposed to be doing here. Grow a spine and show some humanity. Here's Donald Trump laughing at the idea that maybe we'll just teach people how to run away from alligators.
And with the Alligator Alcatraz, it's the idea that adults, illegal immigrants, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something.
I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If snakes are fast, but alligators we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison, how to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%.
I mean, just look at how giddy he is. Laughing at the idea that we're going to teach these immigrants how to run away from alligators. This is the President of the United States. This is what you get when you elect such a stupid person to be president. Somebody who is more concerned about his fame and his glory, about the clicks on social media. This is what we get. We got a president of the United States who thinks it's a joke to just start, rounding up migrants and throwing them into cages down in the blistering sun. The president of the United States, everybody. And then you have Benny Johnson. He put together this insane AI slop crap about this whole Alligator Alcatraz idea, where the alligators are actually the police. And see if you can notice who the detainees in this video. Do they look like Benny Johnson? Or do they look more like somebody with darker skin? This is really what happens when you dehumanize whole groups of people for years upon years upon years. You have a whole MAGA movement right now who is cheering this shit on, who thinks it's such a great idea to start treating these people like they are less than human. That is what we are currently seeing out of this MAGA movement, where you've got somebody like Benny Johnson putting together these AI videos of black and brown folks being hunted by alligators. I know how we got here. I don't understand how so many in our country were swayed by this nonsense. But when you take a look at, the dehumanization of the Jews back in Hitler Germany, and we take a look at how it is manifesting today when we are demonizing and dehumanizing the immigrants, the black and brown folks, it's no wonder why you get these comparisons. We're not saying that, like I've said in many videos before, we're not saying that Donald Trump is Hitler, but you are certainly employing some of the same tactics. He has been working on dehumanizing these groups of people for years. And now we have a MAGA movement that is cheering this stuff on. You even have the Florida GOP making money off merch for this so-called Alligator Alcatraz.
Look, I think we're over $50,000 in the first couple of days on this.
Evan Power is the chair of Florida's Republican Party. He sees opportunity in the phrase and the concept Alligator Alcatraz. So much so, the party hired an artist to design merch. It launched on its website a few days ago.
And we've sold thousands of shirts, thousands of hats, and thousands of koozies since then.
We sold a whole bunch of koozies, guys. We're doing real good. I hope these people are proud of themselves. You're treating people like they're a bunch of animals. You're rounding them up oftentimes without any due process at all. Throwing them into cages in the blistering sun, where they're going to be at risk for injury or death, because we know if there's anything about this DHS, we know it's that they really don't give a shit about the black and brown folks that they are rounding up. That's why we see them pounding on some people's face in the middle of an intersection. This cannot end well. This is not something we should be cheering on as a country. This should be 100% condemned among everybody in this country. And instead, we've got a MAGA movement who is giddier than they've ever been. They think this is just one big joke. This is going to get the clicks. We can sell merch off of it, baby. This is all just social media propaganda nonsense, and we're here every step of the way. And they continue to say that it's all about the criminals, all about the people who don't belong in this country, and they've committed crimes. But we know that that is not true.
While the administration keeps claiming the people, the humans, they are detaining are, quote, the worst of the worst, the actual data does not support that. Only a small fraction of those arrested and detained so far are violent criminals convicted of sexual assault and homicide. Instead, according to internal ICE data obtained by Ainsley and NBC News from October 1st through May 31st, roughly 185,000 people were arrested and detained. 65,000 of them were convicted of crimes. The most common crimes, though, were not violent ones. Instead, they were immigration and traffic offenses.
Yeah, we went over this data the other day. At least 65% of people that ICE has arrested have no criminal history whatsoever. They're not being charged with a crime. They're not being accused of a crime. And less than 7% of people have actually committed a violent crime. When we're talking about these immigrants who have been rounded up, who have been arrested by ICE, we're talking about immigration or traffic tickets and things along those lines. Less than 7% have committed violent crime, and 65% have committed no crime at all. Do we really trust that this administration is going to be rounding up the worst of the worst and sending them to this cage down in the Everglades? I certainly wouldn't make that bet. If this administration has shown us anything, it's that they are careless. And they really wouldn't mind at all if American citizens were rounded up as well. Anybody who dissents to Donald Trump, well, maybe they'll find themselves in the middle of the Everglades as well. That's what this administration is doing. And we have a depraved MAGA party that is cheering it along every step of the way. It is absolutely grotesque. So, each and every one of these Republicans, like I will continue to say, each one of them needs to be voted out of office. We should not be electing depraved, disgusting, indifferent individuals who cannot govern to run this country. Each and every one of these Republicans should be voted out of office. So, I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just launders all of this fascist nonsense for the Trump administration day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you guys want to see how the Supreme Court is now complicit in the lawlessness of Donald Trump, as they gave him a free pass with one of their recent decisions, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. It is quite disturbing. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.